No change in there says they're going to ban buyer's agent commission. This became the clickbait headline because I think threatened the idea that buyer's agent commission is going to be banned. You create a lot of fear, and then that would rally the base. But at the end of the day, they just didn't want to write the big checks. And now it looks like with the loss that there is going to be a very large check written. And unfortunately, the way a lot of brokerages and agents talk about commission, it makes it seem as if there is a standard rate, as if they are not negotiable, as if there is some collusion across the industry. And so then they played videos of training events and scripts and all these things from the franchises saying things like, well, if you're going to go below the standard commission, you need to get manager approval. Well, why is there a standard commission? Is there some price fixing? And so when the jury looked at all this, what they found them guilty of, or of liable for, was that there was this agreement that said, hey, NAR is going to help us inflate commissions by making buyer's agent commission mandatory in return for making all of the agents members of NAR, so NAR can make more dues. We do not feel like there is this massive wave coming where buyer's agent commission goes away. I don't see that. But we do have to be smarter as an industry about how we talk about commissions. Some things that we did to make us look very different from the companies who are a part of these lawsuits is, one, you can be a part of LPT without being a member of NAR. We are going to have it in all the 20 states we're expanding to, but it's usually a little slower to expand. But in Florida in particular, where our biggest agent base is, we actually have one of the largest non-NAR brokerages in the entire state, and that brokerage does not require you to be a member of NAR.
Welcome to another amazing episode of Motivational Monday. Today, the big word is controversy. Who doesn't like a little controversy? There's a lot going on with this whole NAR lawsuit, and I'm super excited to share with you guys today that Robert Palmer is going to be sharing his thoughts, his ideas, what he thinks it's going to mean for the industry, what really it means for the industry. And so I'm super excited to have you guys sharing us with this today. Welcome again to Motivational Monday. My name's AJ Ackerman.
I'm Mark Ammons.
And we are Elevated Agents.
All right, guys, welcome back to this episode of Behind the Scenes with LPT Realty, where we take you behind the scenes with our founder and CEO, Mr. Robert Palmer, as he comes live every single Monday on a Motivational Monday call that he does with the entire company. And this one, a lot of times Robert's on the road. A guy gets around a lot to see all of our different agents and all these different conferences. So as AJ said, they're in Austin at the Zillow Unlock conference. And so we're going to let him talk for just a minute about kind of some of the experiences that they're having there, and then we'll be right back.
All right, we are in Austin, Texas. Hey guys, in case you're joining for the first time, my name is Matt Hodge, Executive Vice President of LPT Realty, and I'm joined to my right by Robert Palmer, founder and CEO, and we are live here in Austin, Texas. I love this city, man. This city is fantastic.
It's pretty cool, yeah. We're having a good time out here.
We are. So we are out here for the Zillow Unlock conference. And we are staying in this fabulous home that's right in the middle of downtown Austin. It's pretty crazy because it's like there's a post office right next to us. I don't know how they zone this residential.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
There's a 7-Eleven house.
Right.
It probably should be an office, but yeah. I got this pillow giving me these weird
little flares.
Looks like I got like shoulder pads on this pillow. It's all good.
Well, cool. So we're excited to come to you guys today, walk you through kind of what's been happening the last week, and then of course answer some questions around what's been happening with the NAR lawsuits, what maybe could be on the horizon for commissions, acquisitions that are happening inside the industry. I know that there's a lot of questions around that. And so of course we want to hear from the expert Robert on how he's seeing the playing field and what we should be concentrating on.
Awesome. I absolutely love watching them. I love watching Robert and the team travel. I get to hear a lot of stuff on the back end about who was at the unit, who was at the party, who got invited to the dinner. So it's really exciting to see them sharing the great news of LPT, sharing their knowledge, meeting more people. And so it's going to be a lot of fun as we continue to grow, right? We talked about being in 20 states by the end of this year. So imagine how many conferences are we going to be in next year. It's going to be absolutely amazing. And one of the other really cool things that people don't know, I think, about Robert Palmer is he also owns a kind of minor league soccer team. And so there's been some big things, some big announcements with that and his journey in owning the Jacksonville Armada. And so we're going to go ahead and cut to Robert so he can share a little bit about what he's doing with the team, how they're growing, how they're building, and how they're making a difference in the soccer world.
Yeah.
So first, real quick, I kind of want to recap around the Armada. For people who don't know, Robert owns the Jacksonville Armada, which is a soccer team in Jacksonville, Florida, and recently is contracted to build a stadium. I don't think there's a lot of people who really know that. And it just sounds weird, like Robert's building a stadium.
Yeah.
That's just Robert doing Robert things.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's interesting because, you know, one of the things we're going to talk about today is adversity and is dealing with change. And so I'm going to share a little bit about the history of the Armada and my history with the team, which is going to lead into really well to some of the things that we're facing right now in our industry. But, you know, so if you go back to 2017, I bought the Jacksonville Armada. At the time, they were part of the NASL, which was a Division II professional league in soccer. The team had a lot of fans. It was great. I did it so I could put the RP Funding logo on the jersey and then drive a lot of media around that. And I would say within maybe 5 or 6 months of me buying the team, there were some things that changed dramatically in the soccer landscape, and our league actually lost its sanctioning by U.S. Soccer. And it was this whole crazy antitrust litigation thing with injunctions. I mean, it got really, really, really insane. And it was my first real glimpse at antitrust litigation and this whole, you know, kind of, is there a monopoly? Is there antitrust? A lot of the same things that are now being looked at in the real estate industry. And so for a while, the team was unable to play professional, and we were patient and we watched the landscape and we adapted and we stayed committed. And there were times when I felt like we were a failure. I felt like the team had failed. Was I ever going to be able to deliver professional soccer back to Jacksonville without a league? And kept our head down, kept working, powered through it, adapted to the new rules, roll with the punches. And now you fast forward to today, and, you know, the city of Jacksonville sold me 7 acres of land in downtown Jacksonville to build a soccer specific stadium, which we're going to break ground on in January. As a part of that stadium, there will be 25,000 square feet of office space for LPT agents in Jacksonville to use, to meet with clients, to work out of inside of a professional soccer stadium. It's going to be a really cool concept. And we are joining MLS Major League Soccer's new lower division, you know, it's what we call it minor leagues in soccer, lower division league, which is a huge step up from where we were before. And so, you know, if you think about that, we took something that was a disaster at the time and felt like a failure and felt like I'd let everybody down and we weren't going to be able to get through this. And the fans stuck with us. Our amazing supporter group, Section 904, stuck with us. And now we sit here today in the absolute best position we could be in possible, with our own home, our own stadium that I'm building, the LPT component tie-in. We've put LPT on the jersey now. So we took RP Funding off. LPT is now on the professional soccer jersey, which is now part of MLS Next Pro, their new lower division league. And it was a really exciting day. So went up to Jacksonville last week. The mayor and I held a press conference along with the commissioner of MLS Next Pro, who's also an executive vice president of Major League Soccer, and announced all this. And it was just a really great arc to think about where we started, where we went. And it all stems from staying dedicated, keeping my head down, doing the work, never giving up, never giving hope. You know, never losing hope, but being willing to adapt to the changing environment, no matter how much I didn't necessarily like the way things were happening at the time.
That's right. Yeah, that's awesome. So I think we have some coverage from that. So I see Dave is ready. Dave is remote today, so controlling the queue from Orlando. But yeah, if you want to go ahead and roll into the video for the recap.
Cool. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
So much. Your mom.
Cool. All right. So that was an exciting day for you guys.
Yeah, you see LPT logos repping all over the step and
Yeah.
repeat. Obviously LPT on the jersey. It's exciting, you know, and it's going to really put a mark in Jacksonville for LPT. We're going to get really focused on growing up there now. We're going to break ground, as I mentioned, on the stadium in January. The goal is to have that done by early 2025 and be able to have LPT agents start moving in there and having a great place in downtown Jacksonville, which is really on kind of a turnaround right now between everything the Jags are doing. There's potentially a University of Florida grad school going in just south of the stadium site. So a lot of exciting stuff going there, and LPT is going to be front and center in it through this alignment with the Jacksonville Armada.
That's great, man. I'm so excited to see that come off the ground. I remember when you first purchased a soccer team and kind of the ups and downs and all of the battles that you had to go through.
But, man, I'd say it was hard. Like I actually, so Jill, my wife, her family's from Jacksonville. I had a house in Neptune Beach, which is just outside of Jacksonville. It actually got so hard emotionally for me when the club was falling apart. I sold the house. I couldn't go to Jacksonville. Like it was that hard because I felt like I had let this entire city down. And while I didn't do anything to cause it, I was the owner of the team. It was my responsibility. And it really was a low point for me kind of in my career. But then to be able to turn that around and reemerge where we are today, it really does prove that, look, at any level of success, you can face adversity. Because no matter how successful you are, how much money you have, how much you've built, there are always forces that are out of your control that are going to come into focus. And the real test of an entrepreneur is how do you adapt and how do you deal with that? And again, that was one of my darkest moments as the Armada was kind of failing. It looked like there was no path back. But we stayed committed, we stayed the course, and now we're at this super exciting time. So it's just, I want to share the failures, not just the successes. And this was a failure that ended up turning into a massive success because we never gave up.
That's right.
Awesome. I think it's so cool that LPT has their giant logo all over a professional soccer team. Super cool. And again, this is just kind of the visionary stuff that Robert does. He talked about how when he bought this team, the whole purpose was to put RP Funding, the mortgage company that Robert also owns, right on the jerseys. Soccer is one of the few sports where the sponsor's name is bigger than anything else on the jersey. Robert figured that out, and so made that investment. It was very insightful to kind of see sort of the ups and downs of what he had to go through to get that team to where it is today. And again, a lot of people look at the fact that he owns this professional soccer team, and they don't see what he had to go through to get it to where it is today, to where now he's got land that he was able to buy from the city, and he's building this whole stadium when the whole thing kind of looked like a failure about halfway through. So I think that's really awesome, and it just kind of shows the power of perseverance. And again, Robert talks a lot about using the lessons that he's learned in his career and all of his different ventures to kind of help us have a better understanding of the mindset that we need to be successful in the long run as well. This next part I'm really excited for because it's going to echo a lot of thoughts that I had about all this. So if you have not been, even if you've been living under a rock, someone probably sent you a tweet about the NAR lawsuit. The sky was falling for everyone. All your buyer leads are going to zero. There's unlimited drama out there right now. And so I think it's important to take a 30,000 foot view, a very level-headed view from someone who has been through similar things in different industries throughout their career. And I've seen this in my own career as well. In the different industries I've worked in, it seems like every couple of years, something happens and everyone in the industry goes, this is it, sky's falling, everything, wheels are coming off. It very rarely is that. And so let's let Robert talk about his view of this whole NAR lawsuit, and then also give some inputs into what LPT did as we were being founded to make sure that this is not something that's ever really going to apply to us. So we'll kick it over to him, and I think you guys are really going to enjoy his insight.
That kind of leads us to our next kind of conversation in terms of what does the playing field look like going forward. There's a lot of people who are concerned about the shifting of what's happening inside of real estate. And things are going to change, but it doesn't necessarily mean that things are going to fall off a cliff, but there are some things that are changing. So let's kind of jump into it, and maybe let's start with the NAR lawsuit and talk specifically about what it actually is, because there's a lot of misinformation about what the suit is actually about.
Right.
And so maybe we can talk through exactly what the suit's about, and then maybe how that changes the landscape of real estate.
Yes, I mentioned this before, and we had the benefit of opening LPT after the suits were filed. These suits were filed back in 2019. We were aware of them. We were aware of the allegations in them. We were aware of some of the missteps that the large franchisors made that made them a bigger target for this type of litigation. And I've mentioned this before, but the headlines really dug in on this idea of banning buyer's agent commission, and that is actually nowhere in the lawsuit. That's nowhere in any of the settlements that happened. If you look back at what actually happened, anywhere in Remax both settled, and as a part of that settlement, they had to pay a bunch of money, but also then commit to 5 or 6 changes they were going to make to their business practices. No change in there says they're going to ban buyer's agent commission. This became the clickbait headline because I think people understood in the media and maybe at NAR that this was how they could get the agents riled up. You threaten the idea that buyer's agent commission is going to be banned, you create a lot of fear, and then that would rally the base. But at the end of the day, they just didn't want to write the big checks. And now it looks like with the loss that there is going to be a very large check written by the 3 defendants who did not settle. But we've read the case and what the case actually says. And it's hard for us being in the industry to really see this because we're too close to it. But I want you to try to take yourself out and think of yourself as a third party, just a layman, a regular consumer who's on the jury, who is not part of the real estate industry. And the allegation that was made is that NAR and these very large franchise companies, Anywhere, Remax, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, and Keller, colluded to fix prices in real estate commissions. And the agreement that the lawsuit alleges happened was that NAR said, hey, big brokerages, if you agree to make all of your hundreds of thousands of agents join NAR as a mandatory part of being in your franchise, which will then give us NAR a lot more dues, we will in return make buyer's agent commission mandatory so that you can help keep prices inflated. And that is the accusation. Like, that was the whole basis of the lawsuit, was that NAR and these big franchises came together and said, hey, we'll require all of our hundreds of thousands of agents to join NAR. In return, NAR, we need you to require everyone to offer a unilateral mandatory offer of buyer's agent compensation, and that effectively that was effectively price fixing to keep commissions high. And then where our industry did not do itself any favors is, so that's the allegation, and now you get into, well, what's the evidence? And unfortunately, the way a lot of brokerages and agents talk about commission, it makes it seem as if there is a standard rate, as if they are not negotiable, as if there is some collusion across the industry. And so then they played videos of training events and scripts and all these things from the franchises saying things like, well, if you're going to go below the standard commission, you need to get manager approval. Well, why is there a standard commission? Is there some price fixing? And so when the jury looked at all this, what they found them guilty of, or of liable for, was that there was this agreement that said, hey, NAR is going to help us inflate commissions by making buyer's agent commission mandatory in return for making all of the agents members of NAR, so NAR can make more dues. Now, again, we don't see it that way because we're too close to it in the industry, but I can understand how a jury would see that, especially when you have these scripts and overcoming objections and sales training videos that all do make it sound like there is in fact some type of fixed price. And I'm a firm believer that commissions are negotiable. It's a big part of why I built Listing Power Tools, to give agents the ability to go in there and negotiate the best commission they could by showing maximum value. We'll talk about that more in a minute. But one of the things I want you to think about is, as you're out in the community, as you're talking to sellers, as you're talking to other agents, are statements you are making, could they be misconstrued to make it seem like this conspiracy does exist? And that's something I've really tried to do a good job of over the last 3 or 4 years since the lawsuit was filed, is when I talk about things, am I talking about it in a way that someone who is not part of the real estate industry would think maybe there is some collusion, maybe there is some price fixing, and saying things like, they wanted me to reduce my standard commission. Well, if commissions are negotiable, is there necessarily a standard commission?
Correct.
Setting commissions, I won't negotiate. Like, phrases like this do not do well for our industry. There were posts on Facebook, you see them all the time. What do you do when a seller asks you to lower your commission? I tell them to F off. I mean, it gets crazy. Yeah. But none of that looks great for our industry when there is this accusation of this agreement between the biggest brokerages and NAR to fix prices. And that's really the heart of this. And so I want everybody to think about that and be conscious of, when you are discussing commissions, with your clients, with all these people, keep in mind that there is no fixed price. There is no standard commission in real estate. That is not a thing. There are average commissions, there are average levels, but at the end of the day, you are negotiating that commission with the seller when you go in there. That's really what the lawsuit was all about. Again, there's no language in there that says they're going to ban a buyer's agent commission. They're going to potentially stop making it mandatory, but even that wasn't part of the Anywhere and Remax settlements,
correct.
But that is a big part of what NAR was. So we don't know exactly what's coming, but again, the media has taken this to the far extreme of, we're going to ban buyer's agents commissions, buyer's agents are going to go away, buyer's agents aren't going to exist anymore. Look, someone has to show all these houses.
Correct.
The idea that if a consumer wants to see 10 houses, that 10 listing agents are going to show up and show them the 10 houses, and if they don't buy that house, it's just not practical. And so again, reading all the actual lawsuit language, reading the actual settlement language, we do not feel like there is this massive wave coming where buyer's agent commission goes away. I don't see that. But we do have to be smarter as an industry about how we talk about commissions. And so some of the things we did at LPT, because again, we knew this was out there, we knew these lawsuits existed. Some things that we did to make us look very different from the companies who are a part of these lawsuits is, one, You can be a part of LPT without being a member of NAR. We run a second brokerage called Network Realty, where you do not have to be a NAR member. All right, now this is easier to do in some states than others. We are going to have it in all the 20 states we're expanding to, but it's usually a little slower to expand. But in Florida in particular, where our biggest agent base is, we actually have one of the largest non-NAR brokerages in the entire state called LPT Network Realty. All right. And that brokerage does not require you to be a member of NAR. So if we're looked at to say, hey, well, is LPT a part of this collusion? Well,
correct.
we didn't require it, where the big franchises did. While some of the franchise owners may have had a second brokerage that didn't require NAR membership for like a referral network or whatever, they could not label that as a part of the franchises. The franchises literally did require everyone to be members of NAR, which looks terrible for them to a jury who's being told that there was this whole collusion. So at LPT, that's the first thing, agent choice. We have a choice for agents who do not want to be members of NAR. Now, you don't have MLS access, you don't have lockbox access. There are definitely technological limitations that make it harder to do your job, but anchoring an agent choice, we do have, I think it's 500 or 600 agents who are not members of NAR, who are part of the LPT family through our network brokerages. And again, we're adding those to all the states as we grow and expand. That's one. Number two, listing power tools. Like the idea that commissions are negotiable, and that's why we arm you with amazing marketing to go out there and win and to show your value and to be able to, in a negotiable situation with a seller, prove your value and prove the amount you want to charge in that negotiation by showing them listing power tools. That's a critical component of who we are. And again, I think this is actually on the other side where some of the other brokerages got in trouble. There's this horrible script that floats around that says, oh, if someone challenges your commission, you're supposed to tell them that, well, a third of it goes to my brokerage and a third of it goes to my marketing, and then I only get a third of it as a way to but if that's a lie, if you're not actually going to put a third of it into marketing, which a lot of agents don't.
Correct.
If you're on a flat fee with your brokerage or you're capped with your brokerage and they're not taking a third of it, you're now lying to the consumer to inflate your commissions. This is not a good move in the light of all of this type of litigation and things. But here at LPT Realty, because of listing power tools, you do have a real value proposition to go in there and put you in the absolute best position to negotiate a fair commission for yourself, because commissions are negotiable. There is no set rate by us. There's nothing in our documents at LPT that has a minimum commission amount. Certain brokerages have that language. We do not. There is no amount of commission that requires you to get manager approval or broker approval. A lot of brokerages have that. LPT does not. These are things that we learned from seeing the allegations in this lawsuit. And so agent choice around NAR membership, having the actual marketing tools to put you in the best possible position to go in there, because we do believe commissions are negotiable and we don't have any policies that say otherwise, are a couple of the critical factors that we are different, that make us look different here at LPT Realty than other legacy brokerages, where maybe the language they used in itself was not illegal, but when you wrap it into the idea of the alleged conspiracy, all of a sudden it makes the jury believe maybe there was something, maybe where there's smoke, there's fire.
So real quick, I want to pause and just ask a couple of questions around this. So commissions have always been negotiable, but it seems like the consumer is going to be thinking about it in a different way. Like there's going to be a light, shined. Hey, this is not the standard. I can actually say, it's 4%, 5%, whatever that looks like. So you believe that the consumer is now going to have more knowledge, that they have a say, or that there's a negotiation around commissions. And so what you're saying is that technically that has always existed. It just maybe hasn't been as visible to the consumer. And listing power tools, all the marketing material that we have is tangible proof to show the seller why you are worth whatever you're charging as a percentage.
Correct.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, and look, and I think consumers have known. Like if you look, there are companies out there that list for flat rates. There are companies out there that list for much less. We have agents here that list for flat rates. And again, the consumer is more aware of this than I think we give them credit for. I mean, if you are a FSBO, you're getting a ton of direct mail from companies offering to list your home for a few $100s or whatever. Like the idea that commissions aren't negotiable, or that consumers were not aware that commissions were negotiable, while I somewhat understand it, I don't believe that it's this massive shift that, again, a lot of the fear mongering and clickbaiting is happening with the internet and billboards and direct mail and all these things. Like, we've seen companies come in and try to disrupt by offering lower prices, and they've done a pretty good job of getting their message out. In the end, this is a very large transaction, and I think what I've seen, and even from my personal experience, consumers would rather have an expert with amazing marketing than a lower price. And that, I think, that is real. And so again, we're here to not use gimmicks and tricks and scripts to set some artificial level of commission price fixing. We're here to give you the tools to provide absolute maximum value to that seller. So they say, yeah, I want to hire that agent, even if they are more expensive than other agents in my area, because of all the amazing marketing and tools and resources that they bring to help me win as a seller. And that's important. And, that's an important part of who we are. I think it's a very important part of where real estate is going.
That's right.
Because I do think that the idea of just throwing the house in the MLS is going to get more pressure around, what is a fair commission amount for that. And so again, we are here to give you the tools and to put you in the absolute best position to win in this changing market. And again, while we don't know exactly what it looks like, what I can tell you is we are very focused at our level of being nimble and ready. I think we're already in a great position. As more information comes out, if we need to put you all and us together in a better position, we are the best suited brokerage to do that, because we are nimble, we are young, we don't have the legacy problems, which again is very similar to what I faced in the mortgage industry back in 2007. When I opened RP Funding, and maybe a year later, Dodd-Frank and the CFPB outlawed dual compensation for originators. It was a massive shift in the mortgage business, and we had to be ready to be nimble and adapt and adjust. And at the time, there was very much the sky is falling, mortgage brokers are going to go out of business, all this stuff. But if you look at today, mortgage brokers are the fastest growing segment of the entire industry. The sky didn't fall. Everyone adapted. Everyone figured it out. There were minor tweaks and changes that had to be made. And it's just something I'm really comfortable at leading a company through. Like, I've been through it multiple times now. The mortgage industry, I went through it in soccer. We are going to now do it all together here at LPT Realty. And my commitment to you is that we are going to guide this ship through this storm in a way that is absolutely best for you all as our agents, because you come first. We are an agent-centric brokerage. That is the thing we are committed to above all else. And so we will make whatever changes are necessary to position all of you to win, because that's how we win as your brokerage in this market. That was the whole reason for us to transition listing power tools into LPT Realty, is so that we can win when you win and empowering you to win. And we are very focused at the corporate level on watching and reading the actual lawsuits, talking to our actual legal teams, being prepared for this in advance, not just reading clickbait headlines or pontificating about what we think is coming. And I want all of you to feel comfortable and confident and trusting that we are handling that part of it, so that you can do what's most important in your business, which is keep your head down and stay focused on serving your clients and building your business through what is a difficult time. Interest rates are high. Inventory is tight. There's a lot of fear in the general economy right now. And then you throw this on top of it, you need to stay very focused on your business. We're going into Q4, which is going to be slower. January is probably going to be a rough month for a lot of parts of the country. I want you all to feel comfortable and confident in keeping your head down, staying focused on your business. Do your best to ignore the headlines, ignore the clickbait Facebook posts, ignore the battles in the comments around what everyone thinks is going to happen from this, and trust that at LPT Realty, we have your back, and we are going to keep you informed right here every Monday morning and keep us all on that path to win together, because you need to be focused on your business right now more than ever.
It's funny. I think I heard Tracy say amen in the background back there. That's so funny. But no, that's fantastic that you kind of sum it up that way. And just, I remember when we were initially coming together to talk about the launch of LPT Realty, and you came to the executive team, and internally we kind of say, hey, Robert has this weird ability to kind of see around corners. He sees things and puts us in position to kind of win through these environments that most people can't really see. And so I remember when you came and you said, hey, we're going to launch now, and we're all kind of like, why now? And you're like, well, hey, I think that the industry is ready for disruption. I think that the pain points are starting to swell. I think that there's going to be an economic shift in terms of, like, he saw all this. And so it's just amazing to me, because now, almost 2 years later, watching what you predicted and what you set us up for to win through is just so strange to not see any of it exist and be like, okay, man, that's cool. We're down to follow you. Of course, we trust you. But to see it now, we're like, oh my goodness, I'm so happy that you're leading this company and that you're the leader for us.
All right, guys, I hope you found that really insightful. Again, a lot of what Robert spoke about echoed a lot of the experiences that I've, again, had in different industries as well. Of certain things happen that everyone views as like the reason that your entire industry is going to fall apart and the reason that you're not going to be successful. And, I want to give my own little personal take really quickly in that there is always something out there that you could look at in the external world that could be responsible for you not achieving the results that you want to achieve. In any industry at any time, there's always something happening that you could look at and that you could blame. And I will tell you that when you look at external things that are happening in your business and in your environment, and you're blaming those for the failures or the lack of results that you're seeing, very, very rarely is it ever that external thing. And so if you take the amount of energy that you could spend focusing on that external circumstance that's happening, and you put that same amount of energy into actually putting in the work that you were doing, irregardless of whether that external thing was happening, the results that you're going to get are so much greater than spending your time focused on these things that, one, you don't control, two, you can't predict what's going to happen, and three, as long as you're the best at what you do, aren't going to affect you anyway. So that's my advice, is when these things happen, let the drama be. Turn off social media for a few days if you're the kind of person that really gets wrapped up in this, and just focus on you and what you're doing and what you can control in your business. And I think you'll be far better off.
I absolutely agree. It's crazy. I saw a post today said something about, why do you think 100,000 agents have left the industry? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but I'll tell you, one of the reasons is because of distractions. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that you shouldn't be aware of the news or aware what's going on or understand how to have a conversation when somebody brings it up. Like, literally, I have had 3 clients. One past client sent me a text with the article about it. So it's important that you understand what's going on, that you're able to speak upon it. But the amount of time that you invest in drama is time that you're not investing in production. And I think it's kind of like what you just said, Mark. What are you investing your time in? How much time are you investing in educating yourself on the national news and what's going on, compared to you just focusing on your business locally? One of the things somebody taught me a long time ago is, if you want to be famous, become famous locally first. Like, plant your flag, plant your seed. Like, why don't you just start on your little 500 home, neighborhood, and then move forward. So you guys be really careful about what you're consuming and how much you're consuming. And just remember that, think about your productivity and at each day ask yourself this question, like, what do I need to do today to be the most productive in my business to help me grow and help people locally? That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. And the only other thing I'll say is that it does give me personally, and probably AJ as well, a good peace of mind seeing the foresight that Robert had when he formed LPT leading up to this. We knew this was, again, these lawsuits were filed a long time ago, so this has been public knowledge for a while. And again, to have a leader that sees that and puts in place a separate brokerage under our umbrella to give people these options, I just think that's something that I didn't know about until he just mentioned that we even had that other side to make NAR not optional when you join LPT. So I think that's really, really cool. We'll go into some more drama and some more things that I guess people thought the sky was falling over regarding Zillow and Follow Up Boss. And so again, if you're a real estate agent, you've probably heard about this kind of drama as well. And there's people that are burning the boats and to hell with Follow Up Boss and whatever. So again, let's take a step back. Let's let Robert, who knows both of these companies very well, give his input on what he sees going on and how it should be affecting your business.
But now we're going to transition over to Follow Up Boss and the acquisition that Zillow did. I know that's been another big concern. And so it's like all these crazy things are hitting us at one time. So let's dive into that. A lot of people are saying, hey, I may feel uncomfortable. I may not be a supporter of Zillow, and that's okay if you're not. Everyone is free to support whoever they choose. But now maybe you were a Follow Up Boss customer and really enjoyed that. And so now you're feeling conflicted that now it is owned by Zillow or being, purchased by Zillow. So what exactly does this mean? Is there some massive shift that's happening in the industry wide? Like what is the landscape for this move?
Yeah, so first of all, as entrepreneurs, you all have to make your own choices around this. And I'm not here to try to sway anyone to make a decision one way or the other, but I do want to share my perspective because I think that's why a lot of you are here at LPT, so you can hear my perspective. And I have a unique perspective on this because Listing Power Tools went through a similar situation where one of the largest franchises in the country accused us of stealing or misusing agents' data for my mortgage company, which was a total fabrication. It was something that absolutely never happened. We hired third-party outside auditors to come in and verify that it never happened. We put all these things in place, but at the end of the day, their voice was louder than ours, and it took hold, and it became the narrative, and it was very damaging to what we were building and what we were doing. And so I've kind of been on the other side of this, and so there's some things I want to share when it comes to this. First of all, no part of me believes that Zillow bought Follow Up Boss to get access to your customer data. Zillow doesn't need Follow Up Boss to get your brother-in-law, grandma, sister's phone number. They have it. Data is so cheap and readily available in the US because of companies like Facebook and Axiom and Neustar. So Neustar is a company who has all the cell phone data. So everyone with a cell phone, Neustar has their name, billing address, and cell phone number, and they sell that data like crazy. Axiom has everyone's email addresses and web search histories.
I think it's like 300 points of data on every home.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then Zillow itself has more data than anyone because, my grandma was probably on Zillow a week ago looking at houses, putting in her phone number because all US consumers visit Zillow. So I do not believe that Zillow's motivation to purchase Follow Up Boss had anything to do with stealing data because they already have the data and the data is readily available. The other piece is your database is only special because of you. And I talk about this a lot. You are what makes your database special. Without you in the middle, it's just a phone book. It's just a list of names. And I can go buy a list of names for 2 or 3 cents a record from companies like Axiom and Neustar, but it's worthless because I don't have a relationship with them. What makes your CRM and your database valuable is you. You are the most important component of that because these are people who reached out to you via your website. They're your sphere of influence. That's your brother-in-law, your sister, your grandmother, not Zillow's grandmother, right? That's what makes your database unique to you. And so the data itself is not what's valuable. Data is cheap. You are what makes it unique and your ability to communicate. And so again, I don't look at it that way. I don't feel like, Zillow's going to steal our leads or steal our data because they don't need to. They have all the data they need. What they do need is more revenue. And Follow Up Boss was a very, revenue heavy, profitable software as a service company. So I view Zillow buying Follow Up Boss as a further evidence of their commitment to now trying to make money by working with agents and not trying to get rid of agents because they just paid $500 million for a CRM that is used by very successful agents who pay a lot of money to Follow Up Boss to use it. And if all of a sudden Zillow tries to get rid of the agents, they would have to write down that entire $500 million purchase because it's worthless without agents paying the subscription fees to use it. And that's how business really works. I know we can think there's maybe other nefarious things happening. At the end of the day, Zillow is a for-profit company trying to make money. The last thing they're going to do is write down a $500 million asset to own data, which was stale the minute they had to write it down if they got rid of the agents. And so when I look at this landscape, Zillow buying Follow Up Boss, Zillow buying Showing Time, these are services, they want to sell you photography through LMS. They want to now make money off of your CRM monthly subscription fees. Zillow wants to get as much money as they can out of this industry, but I feel like all these moves they're making and they're putting their money where their mouth is, it is all still supportive of agents. Now we may dislike the way they monetize it or how much they charge us and things like that, and that's a different conversation. But I would just, changing CRMs is hard. Changing CRMs can be damaging to your business, trying to go through that transition, trying to relearn systems, and it's a big leap to make. And I would just encourage you before you pull the plug on something that could be damaging to your business over fear or over, doubts being cast by others, really take a hard look at, is Follow Up Boss beneficial to your business? Is it right for you? Is it the right platform? And again, I personally have no worry that Zillow is stealing the data. If they started calling your consumers, they don't have consent. Zillow is not going to violate the TCPA and violate privacy laws to call data that they don't have a right to call. They're bringing in a third-party independent auditor. Dan Corkle, the CEO of Follow Up Boss, I've had some conversations with him. They're doing all the same things I did back at Listing Power Tools. And I know we had done no type of data theft, but that was the accusations made against it. So again, I guess I'm more passionate about this, not because I particularly care about Follow Up Boss or Zillow. I care about your businesses. I don't want to see you disrupt your business for no reason. But I also was on the wrong side of this once upon a time, and I was unfairly accused of stealing people's data when I absolutely was not. And I'm the guy that wants to fight for what's right. And so if you're going to make a decision to leave Follow Up Boss, do it based on real facts and real information, not fear being created by one of the big franchises or some group because it fits their narrative of trying to make their agents use their platforms instead of anyone else's. You've always got to look at what is the underlying motivation. My underlying motivation is to make sure all of you are as successful as possible, because that's what makes LPT Realty successful. Other people have other motivations, and you've got to really look at that as you're making these, what are big decisions in your business.
That's right, man. And it's, again, there's so much happening at one time. It's very easy to feel overwhelmed. It's very easy to feel unnerved. Just because you're like, hey, there is going to be something that changes in real estate. Is it going to be the doomsday scenario that you may read on some of these headlines? No, it's probably not going to be that, but it is going to change. And like Robert said, we're going to be here to help you out. Robert's always thinking about, what the future, and is if you can see of any evidence of, people are like, hey, what's going on with Follow Boss? And you met with Dan and when we were in LA, and, I'm not saying that you had any insight to this, so I'm not saying that, but he does have the ability to kind of put us in position always. And I know that there's a lot of people who want to be with Follow Boss. I know that you've got great relationships throughout the industry. And so again, I think it's just further evidence is that you've been kind of looking around the corner, seeing what's happening and preparing us and preparing to have a successful platform for you guys to run your business on. So anyways, I think we're almost at time.
Yeah, a couple things. I did see some people. Chime officially announced they're changing their name to Lofty.
Yes.
That's all it is the name change. So part of Chime's problem is they launched as chime.me was their website. And then Chime, the financial services, bank money exchanging company, came out of nowhere and confused a lot of people, and they didn't have chime.com, they only had chime.me. And so that's all this is a rebrand, because they want a name that doesn't collide with a very successful company. So they changed their name to Lofty. Lofty.com will be the new domain. It's really a non-issue. There's nothing really changing, nothing, we are still working with them on some changes and some improvements to our relationship. I think the name change may have slowed some of that down because they've been very focused on getting through this. Last conversations we had, we're getting very close with them. But yeah, that's really all it is. It's a name change to Lofty. Nothing else changes about the offering at this point. We are working on making some renegotiations with them, but they've picked a new name because they're tired of being confused with chime.com, which is a money app around financial services. Yeah, and so again, guys, as we wrap up today, I just want to reiterate, please go out there and stay focused on your business. Let us worry about the noise. Let us worry about what may be these shifts, and trust that we are focused on it. We have high-level resources that are studying all these things, monitoring all these things. We will always keep you up to date right here on Mondays when there are things that I think are impactful, but it's very easy to get caught in, down the rabbit hole. It's very easy to get caught up in all the noise and all the chatter. And the agents who are doing that are not out there winning. They're not out there emptying the box. They're not out there using the collateral marketing system. They're not out there going on appointments. They're not out there showing the listing power tools box to 60 new clients. These things are going to work and make you more successful, no matter who buys what CRM or what big franchise has to write a big check for, losing a lawsuit or any of these other types of changes. And if we do see massive systemic risks or systemic changes, we will be the first to bring them to you here with a path forward. That has not happened yet today. Yes, things are shifting. We don't see the dramatic change. We do see that brokerages have to position themselves better, that we do have to do a better job of communicating to consumers that commissions are negotiable and how they're negotiable and how we bring value. All the things that we are so focused on and have been focused on from day one here at LPT Realty. So please keep your head down. Focus on your business. You have enough challenges to overcome in your day-to-day activities of getting consumers to get past these interest rates, which came down a little bit, but again, we're still very high. Get past these inventory limitations, past what is now a slow time of year. Stay focused on that part of your business and trust that as an LPT agent, we have your back and we are watching the bigger picture so that you can do that very thing and be more successful in your activities, be more purposeful with your activities, and avoid and ignore the noise and the clutter to go out and do what you do best, which is help American citizens realize their dream of home ownership, or helping them sell the largest asset of their life and making that transaction smooth and as least stressful as possible, and building that amazing rapport and relationship with them. That is what you are good at. That is what makes you special. That is what no robot, no AI, no software, no mega conglomerate, no portal can ever replace. So focus on being you, focus on your wins, and know that we're going to handle the rest of it because you're in a great place here with us at LPT Realty.
Wow. So again, just more great insight from Robert on what's really happening with all of these things. And I think his analysis was right on point, is that if you decide that if you're a Follow-Up Boss user now and you decide that you want to stop using Follow-Up Boss, make that decision based on actual facts about whether or not Follow-Up Boss is beneficial for your business and for what you do. And again, having this whole kind of conspiracy theory that Zillow needs to make this acquisition to get your data, which is essentially useless to them anyway, I think probably, is not really what's going on here. And I think Robert's take is probably more in alignment with the reality of what's happening here. So, take that under advisement. Again, if you felt like you got stirred up about this, maybe rewatch that one more time and just kind of understand the reality of what's actually going on, and not the sensationalized version of what you're seeing in Facebook groups and on YouTube and in different forums. So hope that was helpful. Guys, we really appreciate you watching these. Appreciate you spending your valuable time getting to spend time with us, with Robert, with Matt Hodge, as they go into all these important topics that are going on in our industry. And again, I know there's a lot of agents out there at their brokerage who don't have access to this level of leadership and this level of insight from their founder, from their CEO, from the leader in charge. And so if that's something that you'd like to be a part of and you want to learn more about LPT Realty and you'd like to consider partnering with us, down in the description box below, I'm going to leave a link where you can set a private one-on-one Zoom call up with AJ and myself. We would love to get to connect with you face-to-face, learn more about you, your business, your goals, what you're trying to do, see if LPT is going to be the right fit, and if we're the best sponsors for you. So we hope to connect with you on a Zoom. And until then, we're going to see you guys in the next one.
Excited to meet you guys soon.
See you guys. Be well.